My name is Nicole Prokes. I work at Milk Studios as a receptionist, client liaison.
Well, my name is Nicholas Wilson. People call me Nick, and I am from London.
I ended up choosing LA again because the whole film industry, it's so based in here. I act, I model, I write screenplays. I ultimately want to be a director, and I think that this is one of the best places to do it. New York's amazing, but I think New York is, with not having too much personal experience, I think New York is more heavily based in like fine art and sort of Broadway kind of acting, and that's not really anything that I've ever been involved in or really looked to be involved in. I want to do more like feature films and things like that. So LA just seemed like the best place to do that.
Well, LA is kind of always where I wanted to end up. So I'm also pursuing acting at the same time. But I heard that modelling is picking up here a bit. It used to be very commercial here, like guys with the perfect body and wearing skimpy shorts. But now it's kind of getting a bit more edgier, I feel, and more magazines are coming out here to shoot. Like I've shot GQ here 3 or 4 times over the last year. So the fact that they're coming out here and doing their fashion stories here shows that LA maybe is picking up a little bit.
I think in recent years, LA has really grown into a fashion hub. We had the Burberry show at the Observatory. We hosted Tom Ford fashion show at Milk Studios this past February. And those are huge deals to have in LA. And more, I think we're seeing LA become that more high-end space. So you're really now seeing the streetwear blend with the higher end because they're starting to come over here and really starting to recognize this as a great place to grow. It was great working the Tom Ford show. It was insane. It was so cool to be involved in that. I've never been around that sort of energy. I've never really been exposed to that level of like mastery almost, like to be in the presence of Tom Ford himself and the biggest models in the world. And I mean, the guest list itself was insane, and just how specific he is and how articulate he is with his style and what he wants and how the entire team operated. It's incredible. I mean, people always say that LA has kind of a more lax workflow than other places do, but just seeing the way that show operated and the way that everyone was, you would think that you were in Paris running this show or that you were in New York at the best show. I mean, it was incredible.
I think it's becoming. I think it's still got a little bit of a way to go, which is kind of, I think it's definitely going to get there because of how all the movies, TV is all based from here, pretty much. That's the hub for it. So it's weird that there isn't a big sort of fashion crowd. But it is getting bigger because I know more and more models who are coming out here and working, and the e-commerce and fashion lines are getting bigger here as well. There are more options for that.
I think to distinguish yourself in the same kind of fashion realm that New York or Paris or London would, I think it would need the higher end fashion brands. But I think LA has its own energy because LA fashion is so based in streetwear and things like that. I think it has such a distinct perspective because of that, that really sets it apart from New York or Paris, because you don't really, when you think of New York and Paris, it is only the high end and you don't get to think of anything else, whereas LA, you really think of the street culture and street style and streetwear alongside of the higher end, because we do have the red carpet and things like that.
I think it kind of makes it unique, but I think they will need that if they want to have a fashion show season like runway at all. If they want to go into that, they're going to need big brands because the smaller brands aren't going to bring in the crowds and the hype for it, I think. But there's Tom Ford does a lot of stuff out here. He filmed his latest runway show here, so he's definitely someone who is huge in the fashion industry. He's making a new film at the moment as well, so with him being out here, that will definitely encourage everyone else because he's such a big player in the fashion industry.
Red carpet culture gives a huge platform to designers to show off their brands, and it really is such a big, large space because there's so many of them going on all the time, especially in LA. It's such a huge space for designers to capture and to kind of use as a platform to launch themselves. And people love celebrities here, so just getting celebrities to wear your clothes in general or to kind of represent you is a huge deal.
I think it's become more of a thing in the last 3 years, because I think that's how London did it. If you're going to go off a platform for shows and how to steal back and get all the fashion shows back in somewhere, London, like Burberry, brought its show back from Milan to London and had the front row being the Kate Beckinsales, the Emma Watsons, the Douglas Booths, having them all in the front row. So, and LA will definitely be able to do that. Like Burberry held a show here 4, 5, 6, 7 months ago, something like that, and they had a huge pull. Every celebrity under the sun was there, and it got great media exposure. So, it will definitely, the celebrity part will not just be a fad, because